Good day, ladies and gentlemen. This is Sarel van Grenen, aka Mr. VG, and we are now getting into the proper grade 10 statistics of box and whisker diagrams. Now, box and whisker diagrams are so important for grade 10 to 12 statistics. In every matric exam, there's always a box and whisker. All grade 11 exams, there's a box and whisker in your paper too. Always, always, always. We love to ask it, and we love to ask you to interpret and analyze a box and whisker. So the box and whisker diagram we are going to use is by looking at this data set. So draw a box and whisker diagram for the following data. But remember, you need the 5-number summary. Now, the 5-number summary, ladies and gentlemen, remember, is the important parts of your data set. Your minimum, Q1, your median, Q3, and the maximum. So let's start with the easy ones. What is your minimum and your maximum? Your minimum is 2, your maximum is 20. So that is your lowest and your highest boundaries. We can kind of call it our domain or our range, depending on your terminology you want to use. Next up, we're now going to find the easiest of Q1 and Q3 by looking at the median. So the median, I'm going to find the middle value, which is going front, back, front, back, front, back, front. Woo! There we go. Now the median is 8. Very important. I cannot use this 8 any further for Q1 and Q3 because I've already used it for the median. That is now an important thing. Remember this in your exams. It's used up. It's gone. Finish and klaar. Let's look at Q1. Q1 is now looking at the bottom half. So between the first 2 and the 7. Remember, you can't use the 8 anymore because it's already been used up for the median. So now I'm going to repeat the process. Front, back, front, back, front, back. In the middle of the 4 and the 5, so 4.5 or 4,5. For the Q3, I'm going to look at the top half, so between the second 8 and the 20. Front, back, in the middle of 11 and 11. So that is just 11. Remember, a box and whisker diagram must always be on scale. That is very, very, very important. Start off by putting your minimum and your maximum on there, your quartile 1, median and quartile 3. Then you are up to your box and your 2 whiskers. And there is my box and whisker diagram. Simple and straightforward. When we look at questions and how they'll ask it in the exams, they always, or not always, they also love to give you a box and whisker diagram like this. So this is says the following box and whisker diagram shows the data collected from 160 students about their number of WhatsApp messages received during a month. Before I'm going to even look at the questions, ladies and gents, let's analyze. First of all, when there's the minimum and the max, the median, the quartile 1 and the quartile 3. So all of the important parts in your box and whisker diagram. Then, first of all, between that minimum and quartile 1, there's 25% of the kids lie between that. Also, between the Q1 and the median, 25%. Then between the median and Q3, there's also 25%. But also, and last but not least, between Q3 and the maximum, 25% of the students had those number of WhatsApp messages that they sent. So the first question is, give the value of the median. So the value of the median is roughly 62. Let's hit the pause button for a moment in my mind, not on the video, but what does that 62% mean? It says, or it tells me that 50% of the kids had less than 62 messages that they received during the month. Next question, determine the value of the interquartile range. So what is the formula for interquartile range? Well, that's Q3 minus Q1. And that is 108 minus 46, which is 62. Now I'm going to diverge a little bit and go, what about the semi-interquartile range? The semi-interquartile range is simply taking your interquartile range and dividing it by 2. If I take that 62 and I divide it by 2, it gives me 31. So that is the semi-interquartile range. Now we don't really have much use for the semi-interquartile range, but they love to just pop it in at random and go determine the semi-IQR. There you now know how to do it. Then the next question, ladies and gentlemen, let me just clear up here a little bit, is determine, how many students received more than 108 messages. So first of all, let's look on my sketch or on my diagram, where's 108? Well, it's there. Oh, beautiful, that's my Q3. So how many kids received more than that? So, very important, the question is not percentage, but how many. So what percentage actually did go above 108 messages? Well, 25%. Because of there, let me just not erase, but there is 25%. That is above 108. But I didn't ask you for percentage, I asked you for how many students. So how many students took part in this? 160. So therefore, 25% of the 160 students that took part in this received more than 108 messages during the month. As simple and as easy as this. This is a very typical exam type question, ladies and gentlemen, where we ask you to interpret a box and whisker diagram. Again, in grade 11 and 12, we love this box and whisker diagrams. These ones, because we're also going to start comparing box and whisker diagrams later on for things like skewness of data, or, comparing different data sets with one another to see which one is more consistent, which one is less consistent, etc., etc., etc. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you're going to tune into our next video where we're going to look at grouped data. Group data, a bit more interesting, but not difficult if you just practice a little bit. This is Mr. VG. Keep well. Cheers.